Hi guys, my name is Elise and welcome back to another week with the Foundry Kids and welcome to the second week of our September series all about trust. We are still talking about Abraham's family this week from the book of Genesis in the Old Testament. But before we start our lesson today about Abraham's family and trusting God, we're going to stand up and sing a new song.
When I am up, when I am down, when life turns me around, should I go left? Should I go right? Should I be walking in circles in my mind? But I know God will make my path straight. I know I'm gonna shout and praise. My God can be trusted over and over and over again. My God can be trusted over and over and over again. Over and over and over again. When I am up, when I am down, when life turns me around, should I go left? Should I go right? Should I be walking in circles in my mind? But I know God will make my path straight. I know I'm gonna shout and praise. My God can be trusted over and over and over again. My God can be trusted over and over and over again. Over and over and over again. I'm confident. My God can. I'm confident. My God can. I know. God will make my path straight. I know. I'm gonna shout and praise. I know. God will make my path straight. I know. I'm gonna shout and praise. My God can be trusted over and over and over again. My God can be trusted over and over and over again. My God can be trusted over and over and over again. My God can be trusted over and over and over again. Yes, He can. Over and over and over again. I'm confident. My God can. I'm confident. My God can. Over and over and over. I can trust Him. Over and over and over again.
So we have spent the last couple of weeks talking about Abraham, and God made a really, really big promise to Abraham that he was going to have so many descendants, which means like grandkids and great-grandkids and great-great-grandkids, that he was going to have a whole nation, a whole country of people that were descended from him. But here's the thing. When God promised Abraham that, Abraham actually didn't have any kids. And then Abraham and his wife Sarah only actually had one kid named Isaac. And so that would mean that Isaac was also going to have a ton of kids and a ton of descendants, right? Because we're talking about like great-grandkids and great-great-grandkids. So Isaac had to trust God too, and we'll see what he did to trust God just like his dad Abraham did.
It's time for
The story before the story.
Today, we're in the very first book of the Old Testament, Genesis. God made our amazing world. But sin entered the world. People turned away from God and went their own way.
But then, God picked one man, a guy named Abraham. And even though Abraham was like 90 years old and had no kids, God told him to look up. And God promised he would have more kids than stars in the sky.
Yeah, and the entire world would be blessed through Abraham's family.
And Abraham did have a kid, Isaac.
Isaac just so happens to be the hero in our story.
Hey everyone, I'm Erica.
Hey, Erica.
In today's story, Isaac was in search of water. Isaac and his family and herdsmen lived out on the plains in the land of the Philistines. And for them, water was life. If they didn't have access to a good, clean well, they couldn't survive. Fortunately, Isaac and his family had some really great wells. They had plenty to drink, and their crops were growing well. Isaac seemed right on track to be living out the promises God gave his father, Abraham. Unfortunately, the Philistines who lived nearby and their king, Abimelech, became jealous of Isaac's success. They shoveled dirt into his wells, and he didn't have water anymore.
You have become too powerful. Move away from us.
Isaac had plenty of men who could stand against the Philistines and fight. But instead of fighting, he decided to trust God to take care of him. So, Isaac chose to keep his cool. He and his family packed up everything they owned. They moved on and made camp in the valley of Gerar, where Abraham had lived for a time, many years before.
All right, man, let's open up those old wells my father dug.
Abraham's old wells filled with cool, clear water once again. The happy herds and flocks could drink their fill. Things were great until the nearby Philistine herdsmen showed up to challenge Isaac's servants.
Step aside. The water's ours.
You're gonna have to fight us for it.
Whoa, easy does it, fellas. There's plenty of land in this valley for everyone. We'll move along.
Again, Isaac could have fought back, but instead, he trusted. He and his family and his servants and flocks all moved camp down the valley. Once again, his servants set out to dig new wells. The new wells also produced clean, clear, cool water. But it wasn't long before the Philistine herders arrived on the scene to take over these new wells too.
Yes! Another day, another well for us.
Take it down a notch, please. There's still room for everyone.
But we could knock them flat.
Yes, we could, but we're not going to. Move on out, boys.
A third time, Isaac and his men moved camp, and Isaac's servants dug fresh wells once again. But this time, Isaac was left in peace. In fact, King Abimelech himself showed up to make it official.
Why have you come to me? You were angry with me and sent me away.
We saw that the Lord was with you. Make a peace treaty with us. Give us your word that you won't harm us.
Yeah, I can do that.
Isaac prepared a feast for the Philistines, and early the next morning, the men made an agreement to keep peace with each other. Then, the Philistines went on their way. The end.
So Isaac kept trusting God no matter what.
And finally, Abimelech showed up to make peace.
Yep. If Isaac had started fighting back, he might have been enemies with the Philistines forever.
But sometimes God wants us to stand up, right?
For sure. Trusting God can look a lot of different ways.
For sure. So, what's our part in this story?
Good question. You can trust God no matter what. For example, maybe you practice hard all summer to make the soccer team, but you don't. You can trust God that all your hard work matters, and God has a different place for you to fit in.
Or you're starting at a brand new school. You can walk through those doors trusting that you are loved by God, and you will be okay, even if it takes a while to find your place.
Oh, I totally had to trust God when I got a cavity filled last month. Right there. It did not feels super awesome.
There are so many reasons to trust God. One of the best is because God sent Jesus to give his life for you and me. Putting your faith in Jesus shows you trust God.
For sure.
I think y'all got it. Bye for now.
Isaac had to trust God just like his dad Abraham did. Isaac had to trust that God was going to keep him safe when the Philistines and King Abimelech were mad at him and didn't like him. He had to trust that God was going to provide for them when they ran out of water because, again, the Philistines and King Abimelech messed with their stuff. He just had to trust God a lot. And guess what? God always follows through with his promises. So if God has promised you something, you can know that God is going to do it. And Isaac knew that, and he is an awesome example of trusting God, just like his dad Abraham is. And guess what? Just like some of Isaac's descendants will also show us later on in the Bible. So I hope that you guys have liked this lesson about trust. And I want to remind you of our memory verse for the month. So it's Proverbs 3:5. And it says, trust in the Lord with all your heart. Do not depend on your own understanding. And that's Proverbs 3:5. So I can't wait to talk to you guys next week about trust, and I'll see you later. Bye.